Michael, as I look at the demonstrations for God's existence, I generally stay in the world of physics, cosmology, but many theologians push me hard in the area of miracles. I get a little squeamish, but some very smart people say those are some of the best arguments to show the likelihood of God's existence. What do you say?
Well, I say that they're not, okay? And the reason is I think there are excellent reasons for believing that miracles do not occur in the world. And so the idea is that, look, a miracle is an event that, if you think simply in terms of natural causes, is highly unlikely, and that, so to speak, has a message written on it, okay? That is, you can read off the idea that there's some sort of purpose here, divine purpose involved, and so it's likely that this is an event which was caused by a deity of some sort or other. Now, the problem I have is I don't think there are any such events that actually have occurred. And that's based upon looking at careful investigations, actually, of miracles. One of the most interesting was done by a person in the 1800s, late 1800s, who looked at the life of St. Francis Xavier. And he looked very carefully at the letters of Xavier, his contemporaries, and then later biographies, right? What he found was that if you go on about 160 years and look at a biography of Xavier, you found he's credited with 14 resurrections of other people from the dead, with details, a lot of detail about where it happened, who was involved, who the witnesses were. As you move from that 160 years after the death of Xavier back towards the death, these become less and less, right? And when you reach Xavier and you look at his own letters and those of his contemporaries, there are no records at all of any resurrecting of anyone from the dead.
So you would infer from this one example to all examples of miracles. Isn't that a faulty argument?
No, we have to, you can look at other cases as well. I mean, there have been other investigations. There was a writer of a book called Faith Healing, Lewis Rose, who spent 20 years of his life attempting to find genuine miracles. And he approached the topic not as a disbeliever. He thought he'd find lots of cases of paranormal healing, but after 19 years, the answer was he found none.
Once again, the evidence of absence is not the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. And you can show the vast majority of miracles are fallacious and wishful thinking, but to religious believers, if there's one such experience, that would be a proof enough.
You have to allow some room for induction here, right? And if you have a number of investigations, right, and they all come up with negative conclusions, and this happened, I mean, it was looked at by a group within the Church of England, right? They investigated whether or not any miraculous events were taking place. It was looked at by the British Medical Association. There have been a number of investigations, and all of them come up with a blank, so that's part of it, right?
How about the individual feelings that so many people have? You know, unfortunately, I'm an exception, who really feel there are miracles in their own lives.
Well, I mean, the question is what they're calling miracles, okay, right? And you really need a case where, for example, there's an organic illness, right? It's been carefully diagnosed, you have physical proof in the form of x-rays and so on, that a person was suffering from this, right? And then without any, so to speak, relevant medical intervention, that person was cured, right? You don't find cases of that sort. You find other cases where they may be due to psychological factors and so on, right? But there's no reason to regard those as miraculous events.
Yeah, or you can even have physical proof of illness and that illness going away, but that is remissions. There are documented cases in the physical world, so that's really not a very good argument either.
Right. I mean, you like cases where, someone, had a broken leg and were x-rayed on Monday, and then on Tuesday another x-ray was taken, there's no broken leg, right? You don't find any cases of that sort.
Right, unless there's something wrong with the x-ray machine.